I'm going to bring in YouTube. How do I do a live and forget to bring in YouTube? Good morning, YouTube. I think we can reset it one more time. The magnitude of this is, it could be serious. I'm not any foreign affair expert, but we don't need to be experts in foreign affairs to understand the ramifications if this is what they think it is, this balloon.
And breaking news, U.S. officials are monitoring a giant spy balloon flying over the country. They say it was sent by the Chinese, and this isn't the first time they have done this.
Federal leaders say this spy balloon from China was spotted in Montana near a nuclear missile launch facility. Now take a look at this image. Authorities are watching. Defense officials say it has a very high confidence. It is a Chinese high-altitude balloon.
We begin tonight with the breaking headline late today. The Pentagon briefing reporters just before we came on the air saying they are now tracking a suspected Chinese spy balloon hovering over the northern U.S. It was spotted over Montana and other northern states. Montana, of course, home to several sensitive nuclear sites. Now, we are told the suspected Chinese surveillance balloon is the size of 3 buses with a technology bay suspended below. And for a time in Montana, air traffic control imposing a ground stop at the Billings airport in the last 24 hours. And look at this tonight, the contrails from F-22 seen in the sky as they circled an area where the balloon was spotted southwest of the city. Tonight, a senior defense official saying President Biden was briefed, that he asked for military options. So this evening, what next? And is there any possible threat here?
Shout out to the Lost History Channel once again for doing that splicing. Appreciate piggybacking off of his editing there. That's the headline, and it is potentially concerning. This is not a joke. We're seeing escalations. China is not the type of country, and I've talked about this before, and I tried to kind of help it sink into the brains of my friends on the populist left. China's not like Russia. They're not going to come out and just say, we're going to do a military, whatever they called it, special operation and just invade a country. They're more like the Tifa group. They're going to do a little agitation here and there, and they're going to disrespect you. If this is, I don't think we have full confirmation that it is what it is, which is very disappointing at this point, that this balloon is flying over the United States. This isn't some spy mission. It's a balloon the size of 3 buses. This is when you get put up in jail and somebody says, hey, give me your shirt. Hey, you know what, I'm just making stuff up, I've never been in jail, but hey, you know that donut you got for lunch, that donut's now mine. You are now my bitch. That's what that is. Nothing more. It's the size of 3 buses. This isn't some secret covert operation of spying. People were seeing it from the ground. This isn't a spy operation, yo. It's not a spy operation. It's just not. China is the #1 country in the world right now. If there was any doubt, the doubts are over. The U.S. is not the superpower. You lose your superpower status when another country flies a balloon the size of 3 buses over your country, and then they say, bitch, what are you going to do? You're not the world superpower anymore. Those days are done. You could probably use this as I go back to other moments. I'm going to bring up General Milley talking about, I don't know white rage. I want to understand white rage. That was probably a good sign. When you evacuated out of Afghanistan and left billions of dollars worth of rare earth minerals and weaponry for the CCP and the Taliban, that's probably a sign that your country is no longer a world superpower. But if that was not enough, they're flying a balloon allegedly that we haven't even confirmed yet. If we were a serious nation, we would have called up the PLA and we would have said, your bitch ass better come back. I'm going to call you right now. And your bitch ass better call me back in 5 minutes and tell me what the hell this balloon is. Or there will be problems. The clock starts now. That's what a serious nation or a world power would do. I'm a peaceful guy. I'm a peaceful guy. But I told everybody this. Somebody ran up on my porch the other day and did a little porch robbery. on an Amazon package. And then I started talking about 2A. Because if you come up on the porch and steal an Amazon package, what are you going to try to do next? When I pull up in the driveway, is there going to be a piece on the back of my head? I am a peaceful person, but this is aggression. So when you aggress upon me, we now have problems. That's what a serious country would do. This is a spy operation. There's random dudes on the ground looking at it.
Okay, that's the moon. It's a little fuzzy out here, and it's a kind of a cruddy phone, but it's slightly overcast. But what the heck is that? That's not the sun, and according to my little planet guide, it's not a planet. What the heck is that? Any help would be appreciated.
Okay, so
Okay.
Good
That's the
feedback.
moon.
I agree. I'm reading these articles and there is no confirmation. And I do respect people on the populist left. I always bring up Caitlyn Johnson because we've talked about China back and forth. And the discussion is, I appreciate it's not personal. It's about the issue of the CCP. And it does, when she brought up to me like, okay, you're using these sources, but she's like, well, this could be CIA sources just saying BS. And I was like, you're right. So here, there's no independent source to verify. I don't know what this balloon is. We don't know what it is. But the fact that our government hasn't gone to the CCP, so we don't know if they have or not, but gone to the CCP, the PLA, and said, you've got 2 minutes. Tell me what the hell this thing is. And then came back to us and told us, we already went to them, we gave them 2 minutes, here's what it is. Because common people are seeing this. You can't hide the communications. You need to get back to us and tell us what the hell's going on. The fact that doesn't happen makes me stand by the comments I just made right now. We are somebody's bitch. That's what it is. That's all that this means. That's all that this means. I'm sure they could jam the signals. Allegedly, Brandon said he wanted to shoot it down. I don't know if I believe that or not. I think Brandon would be more likely to want to fly an LGBTQ flag on the balloon than he would be to shoot it down. So I don't know either way, but I don't believe it. I don't believe that Brandon wants to shoot anything down. So I understand we don't know exactly what it is. And then on top of that, the CCP, if you read some of these articles, the response for them is like, they are trying to warn people about making too many quick assumptions. Bitch, don't do that. What is it? Is it yours or not? Don't come to, those are red flags. So if you know you have you have relationships because you trade goods back and forth, you're a frenemy and enemy relationship with a neighbor or another person, and they're flying a drone over your house, and you're like, well, I know we've got these tensions. Is this your drone? And then their response is, be careful of making assumptions. Bitch, don't do that. I asked you, is it your drone? That's not the response I need from you right now. That's a red flag response. So however you want to spin this thing, what we know or we don't know, this is not a good position for the United States of America. This ain't a good position. It's still flying up in the sky right now. Whose is it? What is going on? Do you not have protocols for handling? So they said, well, we can't shoot it down because it could cause a problem. Do you not have protocols in place already? Your dumbass you were trying to study white rage. Do you have protocols in between studying white rage for how to handle a flying object over the country that you're scared to shoot down? You should already have those protocols. Brandon is the commander-in-chief. I know that sounds weird to say. This babbling idiot buffoon is our commander-in-chief, but that's where we are. So this all falls under him. It's not under Lloyd Austin. It's not under defense contractors. It's not under General Milley. It's not under Antony Blinken. It's not under me. It's under him. He's the commander in chief. So I would tell these permission to speak freely, sir, you idiots in charge of our military, you should already have protocols for if somebody flies something over the country that we can't shoot down. What are those protocols? Let's enact them now. The balloon, to my knowledge, is still flying over the country. The joke is on you and I. We are somebody else's, so the United States of America has become somebody else's bitch, and we are somebody else's bitch underneath that. That's the hierarchy. So we can go back and forth and fight over Tyree Nichols, or we can kind of unite and say, this ain't acceptable. Brandon needs to be impeached immediately. You are endangering people. This is unacceptable. For days, this thing has been flying over the country. You don't even have confirmation from who it is. I would have sent a memo out to every country in the world. Whoever's balloon this is, you better fess up in 60 seconds or there will be problems. See, libertarian, there is a non-aggression principle. That doesn't mean that there's no aggression. If you aggress upon me, there will be problems equally or worse in return. That is life. If you're a pride of lions, and another badass pride or lions try to come in and try to take your women and children or whatever the case may be, you better be able to step up and do something. And that's the situation we're in. I'm sorry. There's no other explanation. You can twist it. It can be this. It could be a psyop or whatever. That doesn't change any. It could be a psyop, and I think somebody in the chat did say it was a psyop. It could be a psyop. How does that change anything that I just said? That means we're underneath somebody else. Somebody else is controlling us. It is a problem. No matter who put the balloon up. I don't care if George S. put the balloon up to psyop us. If we don't have any answers, that reflects poorly upon us. Tucker Carlson talked about it yesterday. Thanks for joining in the chat. This is the morning topic.
Story. The Pentagon, as you may have heard, is now this is a Fox News alert and a very strange story. The Pentagon, as you may have heard, is now tracking a very high altitude Chinese spy balloon over the northern United States. Apparently it's over Montana right now. You're seeing photographs of that balloon on your screen. The Pentagon has decided for some reason not to shoot down the balloon, even though they say it's flying over some, quote, sensitive sites. So there are intercontinental ballistic missile silos in that area. What is this? This is a Fox News alert and a very strange story. The Pentagon, as you may have heard, is now tracking.
So great comments in the chat. Really, the chat really pumps me up to do. That's why I like doing the lives a lot. Riff Grifter says, great screen name, says this is not a China balloon. It is a CIA Pentagon trickery. It very well could be. So that means we're their bitch then, right? It could be. So we are, as people, we go on with our daily lives, we're ignorant or whatever. The fact is there's a balloon, and this looks like a fact. There's a balloon the size of 3 buses flying over the country, and nobody knows what the hell it is. Can you imagine there's a drone flying over your house right now or wherever you live? Just to pretend you have a house, and a drone's flying over your house. You're like, what the hell is that? Okay, you got to figure out what it is. You got to get it down. You're in a position where you're like, there's a drone flying over my house. Is it weaponized? Is it taking data back to somebody? Is it the CIA? Is it the FBI? Is this what is it? It represents your position. Somebody else is above you. It's very symbolic. Look up. So it could be. I fully acknowledge that. Could be a complete psyop. Paper Wind comes back, says, pretty facts. You're right, it doesn't matter as much whose it is. Our response or lack thereof does matter. But I still think it's our own deep state doing it to us. And it very well could be. So why would let's think through that critically. I'm not even going to that point because I agree with your first part. It doesn't matter whose it is. It's the communication. So Brandon's got to do a presser. Has Brandon done a presser yet? We just have a random balloon flying over a country. We don't know whose it is. We don't know what it is. We don't know when it's going to go down. Like, what is happening, man? You're a babbling idiot. And on top of that, we don't know what's happening. So that is owed to the American people. The American people, well, I guess it's not owed if we don't demand it. That's the power of dividing a populace. That's the power of ignorance. Somebody is doing a symbol to show you that you are nothing. You are a complete buffoon. That's right. Do you think that someone could fly a drone over former President Obama's house and there'd be no problems? Do you think somebody could fly a drone over the White House and there'd be no problems? They're flying a drone over Montana, over your damn country. And nobody cares. nobody cares. Like, okay, whatever, going on with your daily life. What is it doing? Why is it there? Who put it there? When is it going to get put down? That's the consequences of failure in Afghanistan, and there's no serious. Was there any serious public, like, you do a project at work and you do I don't know why the words escaping my mind, but you do like a after assessment. Here's what went well with the project. Here's what didn't go well. It is our tax dollars that go to this stuff, right? We don't even get an explanation of what the hell's going on. We give the Defense Department $1 trillion and we don't even get the respect of, like, within minutes. This thing's been up there for days. They said it's not the first time this has happened, by the way. So they use our tax. All of this stuff is paid by us. They work for us. Do we remember that? That's what this represents. I don't know what it is. I don't claim to know what it is, but I don't need to know what it is. I know the response is gunk, and I know that we are fools. That's what I know. The joke's on us. There's a consequence to 81 million votes that, as Stephen Ignoramus, who was on yesterday, was like, we know what happened with that. We don't even need to talk about it. YouTube, don't worry about it. You don't need to censor it. We know what happened, okay? We know what happened. You don't have to strike me. You don't have to censor it. We know, I know that you know that we know that you know what happened. And then you get a balloon flying over a balloon the size of 3 school buses flying over the country, and I'm the idiot for, like, what the hell is going on? Yeah, that's where we are. That's where the country is, and there's no surprise. There should be no surprise. When you look at, and I don't want to specifically call out TikTok because it's bigger than TikTok, but Tim Young tweeted, so everyone freaking out about one Chinese spy balloon when over 80 million people in the U.S. have TikTok on their phones. Got it. That's a good point. And I don't want to specifically target TikTok because the problem is the algorithm on all the apps, but he's right. The Chinese government, in my opinion, is so powerful that I think they could, if they wanted to, experiment and say, these are the type of apps that cause problems in the U.S. race-wise, or these are the type of videos. Let's amplify them. We would know. It's a Chinese-owned company. Let's amplify them in the algorithm and see if we can create a race riot. Could they do that? So that I always look back and I'm like, okay, could we create an app to go to China and do the same thing, collect the same data, facial data, expression data, tone of voice data? Google right now is analyzing this video, tone of voice. What's my tone of voice yet? Yeah, I got a lot. My tone of voice this morning is probably agitated, YouTube. You don't need to scan it. I'll tell it to you. But I'm a peaceful man, though. The TikTok is analyzing, are you wearing glasses? What do your eyes look? How wide are they open? They're doing filtering on TikTok where you don't get the choice. We're going to make your jaw look a little bit more defined because we think that makes you look a little bit better. Or who knows, we can make your jaw look a little bit more fatter to get you depressed. All of this stuff is possible in the app and nobody knows. Nobody knows. And we can't do the same thing in China. So I talk to people on the populist left, and some of them don't think China is a serious issue, but they can't answer that question. Why can they possibly do that? We're playing chess. I need you to learn how to play chess. I need you to learn. I really do. They could move their knight here. Are they going to move it there? I don't know. Are they thinking to move it there? I don't know. The fact is they could. And not only that, we're playing blind. We wouldn't even know. We wouldn't even know until the knight popped up. It's like we're playing chess and their pieces are invisible. So that's a good point. How do we allow that to happen? They're buying land next to strategic spots in the United States, military-wise. They've been doing that. So they're like, well, we're doing all this stuff. Like, you are now underneath us. We can fly a balloon if we want to. Again, I don't know if the CCP, but of course it could be the CCP. That's very CCP-ish of them. To do something to you that you can't do to them, that's not like we're not firing off. They don't like to go kinetic. That's dirty. But they're just letting you know. It's very possible. So if you think Sia's doing it, is Sia doing it because they're controlled by the CCP? Is that possible? Why does every move benefit them? Every move. The 81 million votes for Brandon benefited the CCP. The withdrawal of Afghanistan benefited the CCP. Leaving all the rare earth minerals benefited the CCP. We're looking at the classified documents with Biden benefited the CCP. What all of this stuff is benefiting them. Is that a coincidence? Am I supposed to just look at it as a coincidence? The censorship on the US apps is benefiting the CCP. There's a balloon flying over the country. And they're like, this is normal. It's not a big deal. Again, it benefits the CCP. Some people on Twitter, thanks, Broken Tradition, the YouTube royalty stopping by. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you stopping by in the mornings. I'm trying to do this as much as possible. Harrison on Twitter, and I like to talk about this. This is a fake tweet. It's not real. Said, this is what Trump's response to the Chinese spy balloon would look like if he were still president. President Xi, not sorry to burst your bubble, but if you ever try to fly one of your cheap made-in-China balloons over the U.S. again, we will fly some made-in-America fighter jets over Beijing. And that's the energy I would like to have. I don't want to get into wars, but we need that type of energy. Would Trump have that energy? I'm not sold on that. Don't assume that. The Trump of 2020 ain't the Trump of 2016. The Trump of 2016 would have had that energy. He had that energy with North Korea, and North Korea is a proxy for China. So he did have that energy. Like, that was wild. Remember that? But it worked out where he made the trip to North Korea. That was surreal, man. That was a great moment, I think. I like to see that. That was a peaceful moment when he took that trip there. They tried to knock him for that. You know, crossing the demilitarized zone. That was great. That was a great moment in American history. But remember, leading up to it, I remember it like yesterday, like talking about my bombs are bigger than your bombs. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. That's why the whole world was like, I don't know, we can't mess with this guy. But that's not the same Trump. That dude doesn't exist anymore. He only has energy for DeSantis. He had no energy for anybody else. He don't even really have energy for the media. Remember when Fuentes and Ye had the dinner? He was on his knees like a punk. He didn't fire back at the media. I'm not against Trump, but I'm not going to lie about what he is. He's not the 2016 Trump. That's why I call him Grandpappy Don. He ain't that. He ain't Mastodon. He ain't like, you know, the bull in the China shop Don. It's not the same dude. So no, I don't think that that would be his take. I like what he talked about with peace, but nah, that's not the same dude. So don't make that assumption. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about the Chinese balloon. If you want to know how allegedly a Chinese balloon the size of 3 school buses is just floating over the country somewhere, this might have been a sign.
Et cetera. I'll obviously have to get much smarter on whatever the theory is. But I do think it's important, actually, for those of us in uniform to be open-minded and be widely read. And the United States Military Academy is a university. And it is important that we train and we understand. And I want to understand white rage, and I'm white, and I want to understand it. So what is it that caused thousands of people to assault this building?
You know what, my nigga? I need you to. I want to understand your white. Where's your white rage right now? That's what I want to understand. Not white rage in general. Like, do you're General Milley, one of the most decorated people in our country, the servicemen in our country. If you don't know, he's the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. That's who that is right there. Princeton. Another Trump appointee, by the way. I'm not really blaming Trump because who's the pool that you're going to pick from? But Trump did appoint him. Oh, man. I want to, and who brought this question out of him? Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz is the one that brought this up.
First of all, on the issue of critical race theory, et cetera, I'll obviously have to get
On the issue, so you wonder, like, why does critical race theory matter? Because critical race theory could be funneled in here. I'm not going to digress too much. Could be funneled in here by the CCP. Why does critical race theory even matter? Because one moment you're talking about critical race theory, and General Milley looks like he's going to wear a rainbow flag and get on his knees to the CCP, and he wants to understand white rage. What the hell is he talking about? And then next thing you know, there's a balloon flying over the country.
Smarter on whatever the theory is. But I do think it's important, actually, for those of us in uniform to be open-minded and be widely read. And the United States Military Academy is a university.
So when he says it's a university, what he means is we do whatever Princeton does, Yale does, Harvard does. You know, there's some of these are still mandating the pokey, the Jabberwocky. Can you believe that? Some of them are still mandating the Jabberwocky. Some of them are still pushing the muzzles. That's what he's talking about. Like, we're a university like those universities.
And it is important that we train and we understand. And I want to understand white rage, and I'm white, and I want to understand it. So what is it that caused thousands of people to assault this building and try to overturn the Constitution of the United States?
Look at the energy he had. He probably had more energy about J6 than he does about the balloon flying over the country right now.
Thousands of people to assault this building.
Look at that energy. He had all that energy. He got all serious about it.
And try to overturn the Constitution of the United States of America. What caused that? I want to find that out. I want to maintain an open mind here, and I do want to analyze it. It's important that we understand that because our soldiers, sailors...
He's still talking about white rage, y'all. He's just going on about white rage. Just race baiting from the highest decorated person military-wise in our country. This is one of those moments where you might have had it in your days in school. Like, I think everybody has these moments at least once where somebody does something to you because they can. That's why they did it to you. It's happened to everybody. And then you have to figure out, how do you react? You do have to react, though, because they'll do it again, and it will escalate. Whether it's the CIA, it could be CIA. Okay? So CIA's doing a Psyup or whatever they're doing. Why are they doing it? They could do it again. Man, the chat is a little spicy. Wow, what is that? I didn't hear this. Albert Spears said that I don't know who he's talking about. You talking about Millie? I don't even know about this one. Gave Harvey a hand job. Guys, it's like 6:14 Mountain Time. I need to do the show at night again, man. Y'all wake up spicy in the morning. Y'all wake up ready to go. I'm fine. I'm good with it. Let's do it. Speaking of spice, you wonder how this stuff happens. It's not an accident. There's a consequence. Why do we talk about these type of things? Tucker talked about this, and we have a president who allegedly has a diary out there from his daughter, and we act like this isn't a thing.
But then, during the last presidential campaign, Joe Biden's daughter abandoned her diary somehow in a house she was staying at in Florida after she got out of rehab. And in that diary, Ashley Biden recounted how her father had taken showers with her when she was young, and she attributed her later sexual compulsions to that experience.
Is this all like kind of sinking in now? It's just like sinking in for me now. Almost like when it first rains, the water's on top of the soil, but it sort after time, it sinks in. Do you realize that this is the person, like if aliens came to our country right now, to the United States of America and said, who's your commander in chief? Like, we want to talk to the head honcho. It's this guy.
During the last presidential campaign,
This guy right here. That you would say he's the one in charge right now.
Biden's daughter abandoned her diary somehow in a
allegedly, Brandon's daughter abandoned a diary. We all know in the chat. I know the guy. Anybody watching this 8:15 Eastern, 6:14 Mountain understands this. But I just want it to sink in.
house she was staying at in Florida after she got out of rehab. And in that diary,
so his children are a mess, which I don't wish that upon anyone, but I mean, he's running for elected office. Is it fair to look at how you've handled your own family? His daughter, Brandon's daughter, allegedly abandoned a diary. And allegedly, what's in the diary?
Ashley Biden recounted how her father had taken showers with her when she was young.
Her father, who is the commander-in-chief, allegedly took showers with her when she was young. And everyone knows that this is out there. Everyone. And he's just walking around like there's nothing, like, it's just the elephant in the room.
And she attributed her later sexual compulsions to that experience with her father.
And then we're not even talking about Bob yet, his other son. That's a whole nother, that's a 3-hour live, which I might want to do one day. A 3-hour live to talk about Bob. So we're talking about a different child here. Alleged showers, problems as an adult, leaving rehab, and no one has ever, that I'm aware of, other than there's one random dude who has anybody seen him do a wellness check? No one in the media has even questioned him. Who is running this damn country?
So by any standard, that seemed like clear evidence of abuse. And yet no law enforcement agency, so far as we know, ever asked Joe Biden about it. Instead, once Joe Biden became president, his FBI raided the home of journalist James O'Keefe. And
so it's just like what Bob's doing with the laptop. It is mine, but I want to go after you for talking about it, for you for having the information. Just same thing here. Is the diary real or not? If it's not, why are we going after Project Veritas? That's the response. That's how you get a balloon flying over the country. Like, this doesn't happen. This is a slow roll. This is a slow boil. That's how it happens. And we talk about the Foreign Affairs Committee. So how's Congress doing in regards to, now this happened before, well, no, actually the balloon was up. So I don't know what they knew. The balloon had been up for, they said 2 days or whatever. But how's Congress doing? The Foreign Affairs Committee. So if you don't know, this is the Ilhan Omar thing where, they ousted Marjorie Taylor Greene, which was ridiculous. It was just absolutely absurd. So that now this is retaliation, in my opinion, which I have to really go through. I like to be defensive. I don't want to be wishy-washy. So I will say, at this point, I'm fine with it. But I want to see something to say, because if you don't do anything, it's retaliation. So my take is, okay, you ousted Marjorie Taylor Greene. We ousted Ilhan Omar. I want to stop it. Let's stop before this becomes a bigger, this could become every time a switch, we oust you. This is what this is going to become, a pattern. Let's stop the pattern. Let's do a rule or something to stop the pattern. They can do that. The House makes their own rules. So I'm fine with retaliation, but what's missing is let's stop this pattern before it gets out of control. Same thing with impeachment. You impeach Don Dada twice. You do the third unofficial impeachment with the J6 committee. So now if MAGA gets any type of power, you're going to see impeachment, impeachment, impeachment. Okay, let's do that. Okay, eye for an eye. We're done. How do we stop this? That's what needs to happen. But the United States, I'm at Wikipedia now, the United States House Committee on Foreign Affairs is a standing committee of the House of Representatives with jurisdiction over bills and investigations concerning the foreign affairs of the United States. So we've got a situation with a damn hot air balloon flying over the country that nobody knows what it is. Like this is some type of Tom and Jerry cartoon or something like that. Like this is like some type of Scooby-Doo cartoon where it's just like the mystery of the hot air balloon and we're all buffoons and running around like idiots. So let's check in. How's the House doing? The People's House.
Don't tell me that this is about a condemnation of anti-Semitic remarks when you have a member of the Republican caucus who has talked about Jewish space lasers and an entire amount of tropes and also elevated.
That is a lie. Marjorie Taylor Greene did not say any of that. There's no proof of that.
About a condemnation of anti-Semitic remarks when you have a member of the Republican caucus who has talked about Jewish space lasers and an entire amount of tropes and also elevated her to some of the highest committee assignments in this body. This is about targeting women.
Let's check it. We've got, in my opinion, a national security issue going on. Let's check in. How's the House? This isn't Babylon B. This isn't Saturday Night Live. This is real. How's the House doing right now? What are they focused on?
Women of color in the United States of America. Don't tell me because I didn't get a single apology when my life was threatened.
They're bringing up J6 again. They've got fake black accents. Like, what are you? Are you Latina? Are you black? The accent doesn't sound real. Your Yaz Queen motions don't even look right. She looks like me trying to dance. Like it's just awkward, right? Just look at no sound. Look at this with no sound. I think I actually look better on the dance floor than this. I look less awkward on the dance floor than this. I'm not going to prove that. Take my word for it. It looks ridiculous. They're gonna turn me into. They would like to call black people like myself white supremacists. They're gonna turn me into a white supremacist. If this is what you define people of color as, like in a moment of seriousness in our country, and this is Cori Bush in the background grinning like a damn idiot, Jamal Bowman in the back right looking like a clown. If this is what you think people of color are, please call me white. I don't want to be associated. Whatever you label that as, you are completely undermining any type of label that you want to. If you want to label yourself a woman of color, person of color, I don't get into all that. But if that's what you want to do, you're embarrassing yourself. I don't want, if that's what people of color are, I want no people of color involved in our government, period. If that's what you define people of color as. In one of the, a serious moment in our country, a foreign affairs thing, you're up here with these kind of, these caricatures of a black person type of stuff. Imagine if she were white doing this type of stuff. Fake accent. This Boricua fake accent. Remember, she was like, listen. Did a whole live on that with friend of the show, Ray Studios. That was a fun one. We broke that video down to death. I kind of like breaking down those type of videos. It's fun. Clown World USA, man. You just put this on a shirt, take a picture, and just be like, Clown World. And there's people in our country that, it's Queen, that like this. This stuff doesn't happen in a vacuum is all my point is. And I'm going back to Antony Blinken. So, let me go to the article real quick. I'm going to be out. This took longer than I thought. Let me go to this article real quick. This Reuters article. Chinese spy balloon flies over. Okay, here's the bullet points. Balloon has been flying over the United States for a couple days. Just a random balloon. I don't know. Somebody going to do anything about it? We spend $1 trillion on national defense, and there's a hot air balloon just flying over the United States. The Pentagon advised Biden against shooting it down. Okay, so what's your protocol if that's the case? I don't believe this, but whatever. F-22s mobilized at Montana Airport, just flying around this balloon. It's still up there. Canada reports potential second incident. China verifying situation, warns against speculation. Like I said before, I would have said, I'm going to give you 10 seconds to verify whether this is yours or not. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I would get an answer. You know, people demand more of like Eliza Blue. I'm not trying to defend her, but it's just weird how people have more energy against Eliza Blue than they do against their own government figuring this type of stuff out. The Daily Beast did a whole piece on Eliza Blue. I'm more concerned about this process. It's been flying over the country, and look at this is what I wanted to point out. U.S. officials said on Thursday in what would be a brazen act just days ahead of a planned trip to Beijing by U.S. Secretary of State Tony Blinken. He's going, I had no idea until this happened, he's going to Beijing. And before he goes to Beijing, so you know what that brings up? The history there with Tony Blinken. Let's talk about Tony Blinken, then I have to be out, get my kids up, ready for school. I tweeted about this during the time here. Tony Blinken has been unofficially, China has been unofficially the #1 world power for a while, but look at this. How did this happen? Blinken will allow U.S. embassies to fly pride flag. So he allowed the U.S. embassies to fly a flag that's not the United States. If you want to fly the pride flag, that's fine. It has no business flying on any type of government building, though, or any school building or anything like that. That's fine. If you want to do that, though, so that's fine. If you want a pride flag to fly there, then you can have a MAGA flag fly there, too. So you could have MAGA take over the House, or you could have MAGA take over House, Senate, and say, we're going to do a bill. I wouldn't be for that, but if you're for the LGBTQ flag flying, and you say, whoa, this is hate to say you can't fly it, okay, that's fine. Okay, let's allow the flag to fly, and then you could also do a MAGA flag, too. And then just open up you could do a Christianity flag, you could do whatever you want flag. You can't allow the LGBTQ flag and then not, and to say, oh, we don't want a Christian nationalist flag, or we don't want any graper flags. How dope would that be to see a graper flag flying at the U.S. Embassy? Oh, man. But Blinken allows that. So you can kind of see where we're at. Do you remember when Yang Jisha just undressed Tony Blinken in Alaska? He just completely undressed him. I thought I had the clip saved. Let me see if I have it saved here. I think I just have the H missing. Okay, here we go. Hit back at the U.S. This was in 2021 of March. And they just came straight up at the U.S. hard. This is CCP versus Tony Blinken.
Chinese response was long and just as frank. The Foreign Minister Wang Yi said you don't welcome guests with sanctions, a reference to the blacklisting of 24 Chinese and Hong Kong officials in the hours before the meeting. His senior colleague, Politburo member Yang
Jiechi went hard, unprecedentedly hard on Tony Blinken. They don't respect the U.S. They don't respect Tony Blinken. This all ties into the balloon. So right before the person that they have zero respect for Tony Blinken. Before he comes over, they fly a balloon over the country, just like you're a clown. That's what it is. They're signifying that you are a joke to us.
was clearly unhappy.
Well,
I think we thought too well of the United States. We thought the US side would follow the necessary diplomatic protocols.
He went on to complain about regime change in the Middle East and the US's own human rights record.
The challenges facing the US in human rights are deep-seated. They did not emerge over the past 4 years. The slaughter of black people, the problem existed for a long time.
I'm going to stop this and bring this back. This is the CCP undressing Secretary of State Tony Blinken about the treatment of black people in the United States. Do you think the CCP gives a damn about black people in the United States? This meeting should have been aborted immediately. And that's why I talk about what's happening to the Uyghurs a little bit, but I don't know if we're doing the same type of propaganda, because we all know that this nonsense about the treatment of black people is just stupid. The CP, well, number one, we know the CCP. You go search about how China views black people. Not everybody, but some people in China. They don't care about black people. The last people on the face of this planet that the CCP care about are black people. And he's undressing Tony Blinken about black people. Why is he doing that? Just to undress Tony Blinken. It's the same thing as flying the hot air balloon. You are my person. You belong to me. I own you. I disrespect you, and you won't do anything about it. Same energy. Same dude. So if we don't impeach these people or vote them, this will be Brandon. If we don't vote these people out of office, that's what they view us. Unbelievable stuff. The CCP is going to lecture the United States on black people.
Was long and just as frank. The Foreign Minister Wang Yi said you don't welcome guests on human rights record.
The challenges facing
Look how casual he is, too. Tony Blinken was all nervous. He was reading off a script. This bro right here was casually disrespected. Who's the boss? The one reading off a script and looking just feckless, or the guy who's just casually like, I'll call you whatever I want to call you, casually.
the U.S. in human rights.
He became a hero in the CCP. Looking online and searching on him, they did all these mixtapes about him, how savage he was to the U.S.
Are deep-seated. They did not emerge over the past 4 years. The slaughter of black people, the problem existed for a long time.
The word slaughter was not translated into English for those in the room by the Chinese delegation's interpreter.
The interpreter was like, this bro went a little too hard on the U.S. The interpreter said, I'm not going to say that one. The interpreter said that was a little harsh. The Chinese interpreter. China's getting a little more aggressive, aren't they? Populist left, holler at me if you think all this CCP stuff is nonsense.
Chairman of
they're circling Taiwan and just openly, brazenly disrespected the U.S.
Chairman of the Joint Chiefs Mark Milley sounding the alarm on China. He says Beijing is ramping up its military aggression, even harassing American aircraft. Let's bring in General Jack Keane. General, always great to see you. Okay, so Mark Milley says that not only has China's military become more aggressive, that China is conducting, quote, dangerous intercepts against American military aircraft and also ships, among other allied nations. So just how dangerous, if you could tell us, is China?
Well, certainly, China is the most rapid-growing military in the world today, and in the Pacific region, due to the 9/11 wars and also declining budgets during the Obama administration, our military deterrence has significantly eroded to the point where the Chinese have an advantage. And what Milley is talking about, the chairman of Joint Chiefs here, is the fact that under President Xi, now 10 years under his control, the aggressiveness of China as a potential.
So this is the military aggressiveness, and the United States military is worried about pronouns. How are you feeling? I'm going to leave out with this. Maybe Brandon should do a press conference, and they should go back to this moment. Remember this moment when he didn't blink for like 30 seconds? Maybe it's time for another one of these spliced up videos to show a display of strength. Let me know what you think.
The D.C. Metropolitan Police, other law enforcement agencies were attacked and assaulted before our very eyes, speared, sprayed, stomped on, brutalized. Lives were lost, And for 3 hours, the defeated former President of the United States watched it all happen as he sat in the comfort of the private dining room next to the Oval Office. While he was doing that, brave law enforcement officers were subject to the medieval hell for 3 hours. The D.C. Metropolitan